This podcast is brought to you by the Ultimate Lettering Quiz. Find out just how much you really know about letters by taking the quiz for free on martinaflor.com/quiz. Enjoy! Hello, and welcome to another episode of Open Studio. I'm your host, Martina Flor, and in this solo episode, I touch on getting better at your craft and strategies to find the time to produce work and build a portfolio. Doing great work has always been at the core of my career as an artist, and I've seen that happening repeatedly with many of the artists that I interview on this podcast. I advocate for this approach with my students, the members of my coaching program, and with every assignment that I take on. Doing your best work is priority. But getting really good at your craft takes time, and life keeps getting on the way. So in this episode, I provide you with a few strategies that you can use to clear up your way and start seeing real progress in your craft. Enjoy! Hello, and welcome to another episode of Open Studio. I'm your host, Martina Flor, and in this show, I'm gonna provide strategies for getting better at your craft. This is a very common question that pops up here and there every time I teach a class or I work with my students or the members of my coaching program. It seems that we all, as artists, we all understand the importance of honing our skills, building a portfolio, getting better at what we do, but we continue to neglect this side of our work, right? And of course, I totally understand it. Life keeps getting on the way. We keep on, new things keep on popping on our calendar, and it's becoming increasingly harder to allocate time to produce work. So in this solo podcast, I'm going to provide you with a few strategies that have proven to be helpful, not only for me, but also for my students and the members of my coaching program. And I want to dedicate this solo podcast to my students and the members of my coaching program, because these are the questions that come up every time. And these are really useful for me to be able to provide answers to those questions, but also to understand what is everyone's journey and what are the common things that artists struggle with when they're building their careers, right? So during the third season of the podcast, we just launched the third season of the podcast, and my God, first let me say that I'm really happy about being able to continue doing this podcast for another season. I never thought we would get, I did think that we would get here. When we started the podcast, we thought this was a necessary step to connect with our audience, to connect with our students and with the people we work with. And it has proven to be right. And I want to thank you for listening to the episodes, and because you provide me also with this feedback that is so necessary when you're doing a thing like a podcast. And I really appreciate you being there and listening to our episodes. So in the season number 2 of this podcast, I've been experimenting with some solo episodes where I was touching on different topics that had to do with building a career as an artist. So I was not only focusing on the craft side of things or the things that have to do with getting better at your work, but also I was providing some strategies to build a business around your skills and how to get clients and connect with peers and all of that stuff, right? So, and we had really good feedback we got really good feedback from those solo episodes. So we will continue having some solo episodes alongside with the interviews that we have with other artists and designers. So I like this balance between providing inspiration and showing you how other artists are making it and are, making a living with their art and are doing it successfully. I think that having that extra inspiration and having people to look up to in your journey as an artist and in your journey at launching your own business and building a business around your skills, I think that's very important. And also I will be there, kind of providing these solo episodes that anchors down some of the concepts that we learned through those conversations, right? So let's get into today's topic, which is how to get better at your craft and how to build a portfolio of work. So how to produce more work that you can include in your portfolio to attract new assignments and connect with future clients. So this is important because our work is at the core of what we do, is at the core of is the content of our business as artists and designers. And let me back up a little bit here. If you have listened to previous episodes or solo episodes, I work with this concept of, to build a career as an artist, you need to tackle, or you need to have into account 3 different areas. One of them is the work. Like, you want to do great work. The work is at the core of what you do as an artist, right? So the work and doing great work should be a very important part of what you do as an artist, right? Then there is the container, right? And the container, also known as the business, it is this space that you create around your skills. So it's this container that you use to turn it into a playground for your skills, right? And this container needs to work properly and needs to have systems and need to be like an oil machine that allows you to do your best work, right? And then there is the mindset, which has to do more with your attitude and your values and having the right approach or a good approach to your craft, right? So you need, in order to run or to have a successful career as an artist, you need to touch on all these 3 aspects, right? So doing great work, having the right mindset or a positive mindset or a thriving mindset, and creating a container that allows you to do your best work and thrive with your art, right? So today we're gonna focus basically on the work, right? This area of creating a successful career as an artist, which is a very important area. I get this question often of like, how can I get better at my craft? I know that I have to put in the work. I know that I have to put in the hours, but life keeps getting on the way, and this comes from different people that I work with. Some of them are perhaps working at a job and they tell me, hey, I come back from work, I really want to get better at lettering, right? Which is the thing that I teach. I really want to get better at lettering, and I'm always decided to allocate some time to practice and create some work. But then when I come back from work, I am very tired and I don't have, I don't have the energy or the mind space to actually sit down to work. So that happens to the people that is working. Even for those that are running their own business and are creating their own container, it always happens that, because they have to tackle all these different things in their business, then they leave the creative side of things for the end, or they leave developing their portfolio for the end, or they leave creating or producing more work for the end. So it really happens to everybody, regardless of whether you are in the art industry or in the creative industries. I think this is a common problem of our time. We are increasingly lacking the time and the focus to focus on the things that really matter to us, right? So as I said before, becoming good at what you do is really important for developing a successful career as an artist. But it's not a straight line, right? And it requires time. Also, it's not the thing that you do first and then you can start, to make a living with your art. So the developing your work will be present in your career as an artist forever, really. It's not a necessary step to then start making a living with your art. It's not something you do first and then comes the business side of things. It's something that you do as you build your business around your skills. And this goes specifically to those that are in the journey of building their business and making a living with their skills. Shout out to the members of my coaching program. This goes for you. So as you build your business, you will continue honing your skills. So building your portfolio is something dynamic, and it's not a step that once you're done is over and then you can move on with the rest of the stuff. It's something that you will continue doing all along the way, right? And it's great. It's something great to, it's a great task that you have within your business, which is continue producing work, continue doing that thing you love. So why most artists neglect building up their portfolio? Well, I guess, as I said before, it's like all of us, there's life keeps getting on the way. There's increasingly more distraction around us, social media, news, things happening in the world, right? So there's, our mind and our time is limited, and therefore we feel that after a day of work, we often feel like we don't know where the time went and we don't know where our energy went. And it often happens this is something we often discuss in our coaching program, that even when you sit down to work and you put in the time, it seems that at the end of the day, you really haven't moved forward with a lot of this stuff, right? So, and I remember that in the very beginning, I used to solve that issue by putting in more hours. So I was just working more and working overtime and working on weekends. And this was clearly not a sustainable way of running my business. It really led to exhaustion. It really led to burnout at points. And at some point, I had to take a different approach to my productivity and to creating more work. And now that I have other things in my life that are important to me, family, friends, and kids as well, now I want something different for my life, right? And I love what I do. I love the work that I do as a lettering artist. I love the work that I do with my community as an educator. I love the work that I do as an author. But there's other things in life, and I think it's important to have a certain focus or a certain or allocate time for the things that really matter. So here are two strategies that you can use to improve your work and produce more work that you can include in your portfolio. Number one is put what is important first. Do that thing first. When you start your day, do that thing first. There's probably tons in your to-do list or your calendar, whatever productivity app you're using for organizing your work. There's probably tons of other minimal tasks that you can do easily. And we normally start there. We normally try to, clear up our calendar. So we start by doing the small stuff, kind of like, okay, I can do this in 1 minute. I can do this in 3 minutes. And by the time we get to to the one task that is really important, that is the one task that really moves the needle, we are exhausted and we leave it for tomorrow, right? So decide first what is really important. What is the thing that will move the needle of your business, of your craft? So we're talking about the craft today, but this can you can extrapolate this to any other thing. So decide what is important to you, and if it's getting better at your craft, how can you do that thing first? And this goes regardless of whether you're running a business or you are working at a job. Try to use your most, let's say, try to start your day by tackling one thing that is really meaningful to you. And for some of you, perhaps for you, it will mean to wake up a little bit earlier to produce some work before you go to your day job. For if you're running your own business, it means refrain from reading emails, and before that, getting one piece of work done, right? It can mean different things to you. What I can say is that at every moment that I needed to tackle something, or that I wanted to create great change in my life. So just to give you an example, at some point after the birth of my second child, I needed to recover from that experience and from the experience of giving birth to my second child. So I decided to really put front and center health, or my health, front and center in my life. So this is the thing that I was doing first thing in the morning, and this is something I continue doing today. You will see me working out after I take my kids to school. You will see me working out and then starting my working day, right? So I was shifting my focus, and I was doing one thing that was really meaningful to me first, and that gave me also a sense of accomplishment. So very early in the day, I felt that I did something important. If I don't manage to do anything else in the rest of the day because life happens and something happens, or there's new tasks coming on my calendar, well, I know that I accomplished that one thing that is really meaningful to me. I was taking the same approach as I was now spending a period of time in Barcelona with my kids, and I was having the same approach to one project that I wanted to work on during that time there, which is writing a book. And I was doing exactly that thing. I was waking up, I was taking my kids to summer camp, and as I was coming back, I was just sitting down to write that book, right? And I wouldn't start any work-related thing, or I wouldn't read emails or check on social media before I had finished writing those 2 hours that I had allocated to write my book. So, and it has proven over and over to be a really useful strategy to really move forward with a certain project. And I can say for that specific book that it has really allowed me to do solid progress on that project, right? And in the other example, the example that has to do with my health and working out, that has become a habit, right? So it was in the very beginning, I put that as a priority, and it was the first thing that I was doing in the mornings. And then that was, I felt so good about that change in my life that it became a habit, and it's something that I continue doing after 2 years or more even. So that's a number one strategy. Put what's important first. The number two strategy is say yes often. And I know this is a little bit counterintuitive because we keep on listening messages or people saying to us, say no often, learn how to say no, you need to put boundaries and stuff. And I get that. I think that it may be important at some stages of your career as an artist. But I feel that if you are on that stage where you want to start building your portfolio and you want to start creating more work and developing your own style, I think that saying yes to any opportunity where you have to produce, where you are producing work, it is very important. And it has proven, for me, in my own path, it has proven to be very beneficial in terms of the work that I was producing and the amount of work that I was producing. So whenever you have an excuse to produce work, whenever you have the opportunity to produce work, say yes. And I don't mean that only by, personal projects and stuff, but if you have assignments that are coming your way, say yes to them and use that opportunity to produce more work. Use that extra pressure to push you out of your comfort zone, because you will discover new areas of your creativity and new possible applications for your craft that you may have not known that were there, right? So say yes often. And I know this may be counterintuitive, but if you're starting fresh, or you're just starting with your career as an artist and you want to develop your portfolio, say yes often. Don't think much about whether this assignment is exactly for you and you are the right person and this is not exactly my style, and all of these questions and insecurities that come up when a new job comes your way. So remember, say yes often. And the strategy number 3 is very important, which is get feedback. And by feedback, I don't mean a like on Instagram or on Twitter. Just get people around you or connect with people that really care and that you can really rely on when you ask for feedback. So find a community of people that are on the same journey and that will provide you with the feedback you need to understand in which direction you could develop your work. And when I mean feedback, I don't mean just to get critique on your work, just to get people pointing out at the things you did wrong. I also mean getting people that can, or finding the people that will tell you, hey, you're doing this really great, or look at this thing that you did here. It's really remarkable, right? So that you can also understand the things that you're doing right. We have an event for one of my programs, the Lettering Seminar. We have a student event that is called Lettering Grid. And what we do essentially is we get together to give feedback to student projects. And it is great because most of the times students do the talking. Well, actually I do the talking, but because I pick up on different comments that students provide on the chat, right? But essentially the students give feedback to students, and that has proven to be true also for our private community of lettering artists. They become teachers, they provide feedback to their peers. So finding that generous community of people that is willing to provide you feedback on your work is really important. So again, here are the 3 strategies that you can use to improve your work and build a portfolio as an artist. Number 1, put what's important first. So start your day by tackling that one thing that is important to you. If honing your craft, if producing work is very important to you, just start by doing that. Number 2, say yes more often. If you have any opportunity to use your skills and produce more work, say yes. Don't think too much about it. And number 3, get feedback. Try to get that really valuable feedback, meaningful feedback that will help you understand where you're at with your craft, what are the things that you can improve, and what are the things that you are doing great. So I hope that these strategies will help you organize your day or organize your mindset as well, so that life stops getting in the way of you as an artist and your capacity of developing your work. And before I say goodbye, I want to remind you to go back to some of the episodes that were recorded during the season 1 and season 2 and even the season 3 of this podcast. And check on the interviews that I conducted with other artists, because I think they provide many strategies, many of the secrets that had to do with their own journey at getting really good at what they do and making a living with their craft. So I think there's a lot of snippets of wisdom that you can extract from those episodes, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I did recording them. So thank you so much for joining today's episode, and see you on the next episode of Open Studio. Bye bye. So this is it. I hope you loved this episode. You can find me, the host of the show, on social networks at Martina Flor on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you have a question or comments, go to martinaflor.com/podcast, where you can see previous episodes, find show notes, and send voice memos with your comments and questions. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube. Just go to martinaflor.com/YouTube to find them. You can, of course, listen to all our episodes on your favorite podcast platform. If you loved this episode, subscribe to this podcast. And if you leave us a review, it will help others find us. Thank you all for listening, and see you in the next episode of Martina Flor's Open Studio. Bye-bye.